It's Saturday. It's the 24th of July, and I thought I'd just take a few minutes to give you a little bit of an update, a little bit of behind the scenes, a little bit of how we're thinking, how things are going, get a bit of feedback, and obviously, as a result, get hundreds of questions for which I have no answer to, which will mainly be, how much is it? Can I have a lifetime deal? And when will it be available? Well, let's see, shall we? Let's see what issues we need to fix in order to get to the answers to all of those questions together, because we're all in it together, aren't we? The wonder of socialism. Jeremy, bigpete.com. Jeremy, we're all socialists, aren't we, really? Hang on, I'm supposed to do this. That's part of my branding. There you go, microphone. Also means you can hear me. Right, so let's do a screen share. Let's do a screen share. Guys, I'm always nervous when I share my screen. You should see some of the no. Grown-up time. Let's do adulting. Share the screen. Share the screen. Share the screen. There we go. PowerPoint. Circa 1990. It's probably more 1980. Absolutely no expense has been spent in terms of presentation. So, as I say, 24th of July. VidNuMe. Here we go. So, summary of progress. And Llewellyn, hi. David, hi. Quentin's on the mailback already. Fantastic. Yeah, alcoholism is a big problem amongst technical people like me. I'm actually on a Coke at the moment, but that's only for show. There will be beers later. So, dev summary. Dev summary. I don't pretend that I know everything that's happening in the dev team, because I communicate with them maybe once a day. And this has always been my philosophy with development teams in general, is you give them an idea of what you want, and then you sort of get out of the way and let them get on with it. I think there's a strategy for this, or a name for it. I think is it commander's intent, where you say to them, okay, chaps, I'd like you to go and capture that flag. Off you go. And then you leave them to work out how to capture the flag and capture it in the most elegant and cost-effective and fewer casualties way that they want to do it. You don't go in and say, oh, I want you to go over that bit of the river and build that bridge. You just know they're good at this stuff. You get out of the way and you leave them to it. You trust them. You trust them to get on with it. That's always worked most of the time. Anyway, so here's where we are. The core interface is in place. It ain't pretty. And it probably won't be for a while, because we're concentrating more at the moment on the back end, the bit that's not pretty, but is actually necessary. Otherwise, all you've got is vaporware, which doesn't actually do anything, but just looks pretty. But the kind of paradigm, or the is it paradigm? Metaphor that we're using, I don't know, I'm not good at this, is we're going to go left to right. Vidnami went up and down, we're going to go left to right. But, you know, you start at the left, and then you do all the steps which you'll be familiar with, and you get to the right, which is where your videos pop out. And I'm just thinking while I speak, actually, that in some Asian countries, you don't do that. You go from top to bottom, or even in some I used to run a language translation company, so I know a little bit about this. Some languages, you actually go right to left, in which case, don't know what's going to happen. But for English speakers, then they'll be familiar with starting at the left and going over to the right. So I think that's fairly simple. You will recognize this way of working. You will recognize the workflow. That's the key thing. You'll recognize the workflow. But we're going to try and improve the workflow so it's quicker. I know when I'm doing stuff, I used to get frustrated by having to go backwards and forwards and tweak bits in different parts. And every time you hit it, you had to wait for it to redo stuff, that, you know, the little 95% thing. Good use case of this was, you know, I do shorts videos every day for YouTube, and a lot of my time was going between the script and then previewing it to see how long it's going to be, so that I know whether it's going to be 1 minute 30 seconds or 95 seconds. We're going to try and improve that so it's quicker, so that the amount of time you spend waiting between the steps is quicker. The Amazon Poly integration is done, and the Storyblocks integration is done. I'm guessing we're going to have other integrations that I don't even know about, and we're probably going to have other voice and other media integrations as well, which I don't know about, and we can add in later if we need them. What the guys were spending a lot of time on last week was this bit here, working on the text analyzer and the AI slide selector so that we get good suggestions for slides. And obviously we need to take into account timing of those slides. We've got to make sure the AI voice matches it. We're also going to be able to upload your own voice. And we've got to make sure that the timing is taken from the voice. It's one of these things that on a whiteboard, it looks really easy until you actually get to code it. And the devil is in the detail, always is with this sort of stuff. But I'm going to catch up with them early next week. And when we get to 1,000 users in the group, I think we're at 883 now, then I'll be more forthcoming with some of the other stuff that I know you're going to want to know about. Still working on pricing, still working on structures, which I'll come on to in a moment. But for the geeks amongst you, I'm going to show you sort of an overall systems architecture of the new system. For the people that are real geeks, I know that almost everything on the diagram that I'm going to show you next is not 100% technically correct. And you'll see why in a moment. But it's not about which wires connect to what. It's about the philosophy and the overall architecture at a schematic view. So feel free to post geek stuff in the comments. But this is really aimed at people who are not from a systems background, but just want to understand why we're doing things the way we are and why it will leave us in a very good place for the future so that we don't have issues that some people run into when putting video projects together. You may even have bought products in the past. I won't mention names, but there are lots of marketers out here that have produced stuff in the past in the video space, which has been unsuccessful. I can see Chris Law has liked. Chris, welcome. You and I have spoken many times, and we know of some video products that we've tried to refund on even because they just couldn't cope with the volume, don't we? But we won't talk about names here. This is a positive group. We're all going to be positive together. We're not going to defame other people. There's room in the market for everybody, and that's great. That's capitalism. Right, so here, this is the systems architecture. First of all, we've got a cloud in there. We always have to have a cloud. Nothing nowadays can happen without a cloud. But I don't want to break it to you, but there actually is no such thing as a cloud. I did actually speak to someone the other day, and they literally thought that computers are in the sky. They're not. They're in data centers. All the cloud does is connect you to a data center where all of the magic happens. So in a data center, you've got lots and lots and lots of computers. And on those computers, you run pieces of software which are partitioned off into various processes and various different programs. And the way that I want to represent this, and I'm being careful with my words because I know that I can get shot. I did a degree in computer science. I know that a lot of this isn't actually how it happens. But think of this in terms of the schematic that I'm showing you. We've got an already existing, very big, very powerful, very complex system, which is represented by this blue rectangle here. And that system in itself has lots and lots and lots of processes, lots of little programs running on them. And those little programs run on a myriad of different computers all over the place within the cloud or within this set of physical computers. This means that we already have a platform that's serving lots and lots of people every day, thousands of them. So although we're writing some new software, which I'll come to in a moment, which we're calling at the moment at least VidNuMe, we're really pulling upon the power of an already existing, well-trusted, well-tested platform. And because of the way that the architecture works, because it's lots of little programs all running on computers, if we need more horsepower, all we do is we add more virtual computers within the data center that we're already running in. So the key fact here is that it's scalable. So if we have a lot of demand, then we can scale it. We don't have to go down to Costco or what would be the equivalent, PC World or something, and buy more computers and then ship it around and plug them in. When I used to work when I actually helped set up Genie Internet, which was the precursor of O2's in the UK, the mobile phones company's first internet over mobile phone offering. And at that time, literally, that's what we did. I ended up driving vans around at night full of expensive Sun servers, Unix boxes, Solaris boxes, and we had lads actually carting them into data centers and plugging them in a hurry because we were overwhelmed by demand. That sort of thing doesn't happen now. It's all in the cloud, and you all just point and click mouses, and you insert some money and you get more computing power. So scalability isn't going to be an issue. Let's go back to the architecture for a moment. What we've done is we've thought, right, we'll create a new program. Let's call it a program, and we'll call it working name VidNuMe. And we will take the bits of the program that are running on the big system and use their services to provide the things that we need for VidNuMe. A good example, probably a simplest example, is video rendering. So all of these programs in here are required to do video rendering, which is a horrendously computing heavy task. I don't know if you've ever tried to render a video on your PC or on your laptop. Again, I know, Chris, we've spoken about this, haven't we? How long does it take to do a huge Camtasia video? And that's a relatively simple video, one at a time. Your laptop's out for lunch, isn't it? I'm sitting here now in my office. I've got at least half a dozen laptops all sitting there rendering videos using After Effects in a distributed render farm. So I basically set a render farm over here. But to do a 12-hour video can take the best part of a week on PC. So this is very powerful stuff, and this is often where people who produce internet marketing type video solutions fall down. They just don't have the horsepower. They're overwhelmed by the demand. You've got I was going to mention his name, but there's a famous presenter, isn't there? And he seems to be on pretty much every every internet marketing product, talking about how great this system is, and then you buy it, and well, first of all, it's difficult to buy it because it takes so long to process the payment, and then the videos just don't render, or takes too long. We're not going to do that because we've got scalability. But in order to make what we want out of all of these little bits, clearly we've had to write some of our own software, which isn't needed for this big system, because it's not trying to do exactly what we want it to do in VidNuMe. So there is some custom software that's being written. We're drawing upon services which are already tried and tested and scalable. But of course, also we need to integrate things like Poly, story blocks, and a myriad of other things into that, so that we can then deliver the VidNuMe experience via this famous cloud to a new set of customers who don't necessarily have to have a purple laptop. I just thought that was cute. But the key point here is that this is all tried and tested. This is new. This actually isn't the hard bit. We can do that relatively easy, and we can add new bits in, when we need to. And we can also make changes to these programs. So, if we don't quite like what we've got, then we can tweak it. And I know everybody will want everything from day one to be perfect and exactly what they want. And that's really going to be the biggest problem, or one of the main problems. I'm going to show you the next slide, just so you can see where where some of the challenges are really. VidNuMe program over here. Let's assume VidNuMe program works as it will. The idea is that the VidNuMe backend, if you like, will interface into a series of front-end systems yet to be developed. But I've done this kind of thing before. I am not involved in the back part of this. I will be doing pretty much all of this, I think, at the moment. We're still in talks really as to how to handle this. But the idea is that the guys who have made the back end, they will sell me accounts on the platform at a wholesale rate, and then I will sell the accounts onto you guys at a retail rate. And the difference in between the retail rate and the wholesale rate will be the profit. But don't forget, from that profit, we need to pay for things like marketing, servers to host the sales website, CRM systems, the banking charges, affiliate systems, and support. And this is a big undertaking. I mean, I've run companies before. I haven't run a software only company before, but the best analogy that I've I can think of is my conference call company. I built a conference call company called Ozone Conferencing, where rather than buying accounts on a system, I was buying conference call minutes from a conference call provider. And that was a similar model, really. Sold at retail, sold at wholesale to me, and I sold at retail. And the difference was the profit. But very often there wasn't a profit. There was actually less than a profit, because by the time you've paid for pay-per-click advertising, by the time you've done Facebook campaigns and things, by the time you've taken into account hosting costs for websites, CRM, all this kind of stuff, very often there is no money in it. In fact, less than no money, at least on the front end. But what you hope to do is get loyal customers so that in the end you come out on top. And one of the things I'm really keen on, and one reason why in a couple of my companies we were successful, is because I relied heavily upon affiliate systems or affiliate marketing. Great thing about affiliates is that you get people on board who are real champions and real advocates, and they spread the word so that you're not having to pay things like Google pay-per-click or Facebook pay-per-click. Frankly, I think Google and I think Facebook have enough money already. I would like us collectively as a community to make money out of it, rather than have to pay all that pay-per-click stuff. So I'm going to be big on affiliate marketing. Payment gateways and the affiliate system will go together. CRM system, obviously we need to keep email addresses, we need to do marketing campaigns, that needs to be set up. I need to do a sales website. It's something that I can do copywriting and I'm reasonably good at it, but I hate all the, I find this bit tedious, to be honest. I might ask for some help if people out there prepared to help me with that. And support. Yeah, this is a biggie. This is a biggie. The problem from a provider's point of view on the internet is that everybody expects 24/7 almost immediate support, and that's difficult and expensive to provide, and people have very, very high expectations, and if you fall below those expectations, then very quickly they can turn on you. So we want happy customers at the end here, we want happy affiliates, but people turn quickly. You can go from being a hero to pitchforks, and just because an email gets lost, or there's a problem provisioning an account, or God forbid someone's credit card gets debited slightly wrong amount, or an account gets cancelled and a direct debit still comes out. People can be very cruel, and I think a lot of it is because there's a lot of distrust, but also people tend to assume that behind anything is a huge team. I had this again with the conference call company. Basically, it was me and one or two other people, but the number of times that I'd just about to be getting on a tube train and my phone would fire up with a chat request, and then that's it. You just have to stop. You have to miss your train. You have to cancel social engagements, all sorts of stuff, unless you're big enough to outsource the support. And of course, all of this stuff can be outsourced, and that's how eventually I ended up selling my conference call company and other companies that I've built and sold, is that when you build it up to be big enough, then you've got fuel in the tank to hire other people to provide a better service. And that's why a lot of people go out to VCs, venture capitalists, and they borrow money in order to pre-invest to get all of this sort of stuff set up from day one. The problem with venture capitalists, if anyone's ever dealt with venture capitalists, be polite, but stick it in the chat, because I know that they don't have the best interests of the users of the systems or the founders at heart. What they do is they throw money at, say, 10, 20 different companies, and they see which ones are successful, and then they close down the ones that aren't, and tend to meddle in the ones that they're financing. So right now we've decided to try and not do this using venture capitalists, because we want control to do what we want and provide the best level of service to you, the potential customers, and also give us the flexibility to be creative and be innovative. I don't want somebody who's providing the money who doesn't necessarily care that much as to whether we're successful to be able to direct our operations, and at the whim of a drop of a hat, decide that we're no longer a good bet and just drop us. And that happens a lot. So this sort of stuff this bit, I'm confident, we're going to do this. This sort of bit, I'm confident. The challenge at the moment is making the numbers work, because all of this lot needs to be paid for, and I want happy customers. I don't want to burn my reputation, because it's been built up over many years, on providing a bad service or a product that I'm not proud of. So that's it for the time being. I shared this with you because I said right at the very beginning of this journey, I want to be open and honest. I wanted to let you know where we are, where we're going, and the focus of next week will be to continue on that development path. I've asked the developers to throw out some crowd pleasers, as I call them, some videos which are actually made using the platform and our sort of little area of it, which we're calling VidNuMe to start with. And then I'm going to start cobbling together this set of systems. I think I know pretty much which products I'm going to use for all of these. It's a question of getting them to all speak to one another, because obviously this has to happen automatically. When you buy an account or you open an account, however that works, all of this has to happen whilst I'm asleep or drinking stuff stronger than this. I always think companies should run when everybody's asleep, because that means you've done your job right in terms of outsourcing and service levels and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, oh, by the way, this isn't my job. I'm a YouTube consultant. I only wanted a Vidnami so that I could use it, because I don't like the fact that it's going away, because I use it every day to make YouTube videos, which is where I live. One problem is I haven't really done very many YouTube videos since I started this, so I'm a little bit behind. So I may be a bit quiet next week, but I am working on it, and so are the devs. With that, I wish you a wonderful Saturday. Raining in London, maybe it will stop later. Lots of love, and thank you very much for your support. The one thing I need you to do is invite people into the group. I want to get to 1,000. We're 883. Invite people into the group. The more people we've got in here, the more clout we've got. Right, that's it. Lots of love. Bye for now.